This is the Seahawkers podcast. I'm Brandan Schultz of the Military Seahawkers, and joining me on a special episode, not special just because it's any particular point in the off season, not special because it's any particular number of show, but gentlemen, we just passed 3,000 subscribers on YouTube this week. This is very impressive to me. I don't know.
Pat ourselves on the back a little bit.
Yeah.
That's very nice. Yeah. It was like a Shooter McGavin, gallery there, right? When he was kind of popular before he became the villain that he became, right? So, but that's nice. 3,000. I do recall it was, I don't know, just a few months ago when we were below 2,000. I remember a YouTube commenter being like, "These guys don't even have 2,000 subs and blah, blah, blah," like literally commenting about like, they don't have 2,000 subs. Well, eat that, dude, whoever you were, because now we got 3,000 and we're going higher still. So, I don't know what the magic number is, but 3K feels okay by me, fellas.
Oh, the little flockers have been awesome.
Number? Yeah.
Yeah. The magic number, is 10,000. And I expect to be there next week. So little flockers better get after it and start hitting sub here real quick. But no, this is a tremendous thing. And just thank you to everybody. That's I think that's around double of where we started the year at. We're not even through, a full year here, and that's incredible growth. And it's really satisfying. And it is nice to stick it in the ear hole of some of the guys that like to, go out there and subscriber shame people. Like that's a thing, but
I know, right?
Yeah, man, I'm incredibly proud of what we've been able to do, and having you guys along to do it with me, and us as a team. I'm just proud of us as a team, man. And it's just cool.
We got to get to 10,000. That way they can upgrade the internet around Adam's house so that his video can compete with the rest of us.
Mm-hmm.
That's right.
Absolutely.
That's right. If they don't get to 10,000, Blackfoot Communications is going to stop laying that fiber line that they're running right now. So
exactly.
This is like a 1980s montage, like where they have the thermometer and you got to spray paint the thing and they cut away and then it's a little bit higher, then a little bit higher. So if we can get to 10K, and then by the way, once we get to 10K, I'm going to just be like, hey, guess what? We got to get to 12K, because 12 is that's a better number for us 12s to get to anyway. So we're a quarter of the way to our actual goal of 12K. That feels pretty good. So it's for Adam's internet and saving the day, folks out there, hit the freaking button, right? Subscribe. That's what we're saying.
And also, we have some stuff to talk about here on the show today, because, we're not just coming on to celebrate. No, we are giving you actual content, because as we look ahead into the 2023 season, I wanted to get an idea of who everybody is kind of rooting for a little bit, because I know we all, we have our personal preference in terms of rookies. We have our personal preference in terms of some of the vets that we just like. But if we had to narrow it down and pick one, and you know what, I'm even going to allow on two players, because we pick one on each side, offense, defense. Obviously, we're rooting for all the guys on special teams, so that we don't even have to pick one there. But one person on offense, one person on defense that we are rooting strongly for in 2023. So that's the topic of today's show. And what do you say we kick this off with Adam? You go first. See, I'm springing it on you cold, so that way I get your true and honest reaction.
Yeah. All right. I'm not rooting for any of these guys. I hate this team. I've become a 49ers fan. No, not true. So are we starting offense or defense?
You get to pick.
Wow. Look
okay.
at you. Dealer's choice.
All right. Well, I'm going to go offense then first here. And the guy I'm really rooting hard for this year is D. Eskridge. And before you all mock me and be like, come on, man, he hasn't made a big contribution yet throughout the year or throughout his career. And, the injuries have piled up and it's been tough. And they just drafted JSN and all that stuff. The reason why I'm excited for D and I'm really rooting hard for him this year is that he has had such horrific luck with the injuries. And one of these years, one of our guys who's injury prone is going to get over that hump and be fine for a number of years. Like it happens on other teams. I've seen it happen. So I'm really hoping for D to make that leap this year. You hear about him in OTAs, which I say don't get caught up in OTA stuff, but the hype with all that. But I'm a
The
little
shape
caught
of his
up.
life. He's in the best shape of his
Yeah,
life.
best shape of his life. He's explosive, all that stuff.
Looks so good out there in shorts. That's it.
That's it. And I'm really excited for him to have a good year for a couple of reasons. One, just him personally, because if he has a big year this year, and by a big year, I mean just a solid contributor and maybe good in the return game, that would be a huge thing. If he's a difference maker there, that would be huge. Then he's going to get that next contract somewhere else, because I doubt it's going to be in Seattle. It seems unlikely, but I want him to get that bag. I want him to be able to get that generational wealth for him and his family and all that stuff. So I'm really rooting for him on that end of things. And then just on the field, I think there's a good chance that whether it's DK, Tyler, or JSN, whether it's just rest or a game or two here or there, you get a little nicked up, things like that. We're going to need that next guy up, that next explosive guy to come in and keep this top 5 offense, which is what it's going to be, humming throughout the season so that we can take home the NFC West title here. So D. Eskridge, I think, could be a really key player in all of that and come in when JSN wears down from a long rookie season, or takes a game in, for DK when he sprains an ankle and just he's not quite superhuman enough to get back for that one time. Things like that, because they're not getting catastrophically injured. That's not happening. This is just for filling.
A little bit of a tweak to where he needs to just take a little rest, and D comes in and shines for a little bit. And I like how you flip special teams in there too, even though I said it was already covered, but good for you.
Yeah, he could have an impact in a couple places. That's what's cool about his potential.
Yeah, so a couple things here. Number one, DK back on the poop cart, right? So we got that. So remember that episode? That was great. He's on the poop cart to actually poop. The next week he's on the poop cart. We think he's out for the year. The next week he's back scoring touchdowns. That was a wild 3 weeks. That was emotional home run for us. The other piece that's seemingly interesting too is D. Eskridge's college teammate was Sky Moore, who's also in this. Only 1 year, right? Now going into year 2, but also was like really this huge hyped Western Michigan receiver who didn't do anything last year in the Kansas City offense, where it's like, oh, he's going to be huge. Again, fantasy people going bananas over Sky Moore. So it's almost like for the sake of Western Michigan, like they got 2 receivers drafted pretty darn high back-to-back years that have really done bupkis so far, so we need, it's like, what do you got, Adam? You got some other.
Sky Moore scored a touchdown in the Super Bowl, so you can't say bupkis.
This is okay. Not incorrect, but so did Kadarius Toney, and he knew exactly 3 plays. Certain things happen when you have Andy Reid and Patrick there, right? With that, but for the sake of Western Michigan, like I hope it's our guy. I hope D is the guy, and Sky Moore can just continue to do, a few things here and there.
He could be okay too. I mean, we don't.
He could be okay too. Yeah, we don't even play that.
We don't have to put down the entire side of the Michigan.
What if we have a Kansas City Seahawks Super Bowl and D. Eskridge and Sky Moore are going toe to toe? Is that a good resolution?
Then I hope Sky Moore gets hurt.
Okay.
It sounds like my dad and I will have a very interesting Super Bowl weekend then.
Yeah, that's right. The big Chiefs fan that he is. So, but it's a cool pick. It's a good selection. I was listening to it's a Locked On podcast, like Locked On. They cover the draft. They're two really good dudes. One guy played on the 2019 LSU team as I think a defensive back. Very good show. And they were going off of a list of the top 25 players under 25 in the NFL. And number 6 on the list was Creed Humphreys. So it's just like D. Eskridge will like forever be linked to him. And Brandon, I know that you were pounding the table for Creed. So, what
I was hoping that you were going to work that into the next player that you were going to pick, rather than bringing Creed Humphrey into the conversation.
Oh, I'm sorry. I took us to a dark place. Well, how about you?
Well, here, we'll take you out of that dark place because the Olu is going to wash away all that Creed stuff. You don't even know who Creed is after this year.
That's
Creed
right.
Creed who? The only Creed I know is Apollo and his son. That's it.
Got a third one out now. I haven't even watched the second one.
I only watched a bit of the second one also. But I haven't watched the third one either. I'll go rewatch the Rockies. They're phenomenal. They're so fun. So, well, how about you, Brendan? Why don't you take it number 2 then?
Number two on offense. And I'm going to go with who might be my favorite player, who I feel like he goes under the radar in any type of discussion, and that is wide receiver Tyler Lockett. We saw a list in the offseason here that showed, the top receivers in the NFL, and I don't even think DK was on that list. Tyler definitely wasn't on that list. We saw a list of the top number 2 wide receivers, and DK not on that list, Tyler not on that list, but JSN's on that list. So how do we have one of the top 10 number 2s, but don't have one of the top 10 number 1s when we have 2 number 1s on the team? It makes no sense to me. I feel like people forget about Tyler Lockett, and that is why I'm rooting hard for him. Maybe part of it too is he's getting up there in age. People kind of underestimate him. People get on him about, he falls down short of a first down sometimes, and really like to see him get some yards after the catch. He's never been a yak guy. I feel like I've had to explain this, and look at him next to DK. He's a small dude. We want Tyler being safe, and yet he still manages over these last few years to rack up 1,000 yards a season. And he's been doing it with Russ. He did it with Geno, and he does it opposite of DK Metcalf. How Tyler Lockett flies under the radar is not one of the top receivers in the NFL. It baffles me a little bit, and that's why I'm rooting particularly hard for Tyler Lockett in 2023.
Yeah, the idea that Tyler or DK weren't on either of those 2 lists, but a receiver who hasn't played a down in the NFL made one of the lists. Like, okay, yeah, that's hilarious right there. You got, hi, Tyler. What's up, little man? No, I listened to Tyler's presser today, and I dare you to listen to Tyler Lockett talk and not feel like, he's one of the best dudes that walks around this planet. Like, he's an incredibly easy human to root for, and he is so darn consistent, and he's so damn good, and he doesn't get any love. It's absolutely ridiculous. The national media stinks, especially the national sports media, and they just don't give Tyler the love that he deserves. Easy to root for, but one of the reasons I didn't go that direction was just because Tyler always gets it done. He doesn't need my help rooting for him. You know what I mean? Like, he's just going to go out there and produce like he always does.
Yeah.
He's phenomenal. And I would giving Russell Carrington Wilson some credit for a second, not only because he's thrown in the majority of his touchdowns and yards in Tyler's career, but Russ, the year previous, actually it might have been last year before the trade, he started talking about Tyler as a Hall of Famer. Like in a couple of interviews, he would just bring it up, be like, yeah, Tyler Lockett's putting together a Hall of Fame body. Like he's just saying it flatly. And of course, Russ is always going to talk his guys up. And yeah, are the numbers quite there? No, not yet. Not not if you're just looking by raw numbers. No, they're not there quite yet.
He can get there though. That's part of the reason why I'm pulling for him is because it's if he's able to longevity wise continue to produce at this level for another 3 or 4 years, I feel like people won't be able to leave his name out of the conversation. Like they have to start. I mean, Steve Smith did that, right? Like his entire career. Well, I guess he did have some pretty stellar careers and make it deep in the playoffs where he was like the guy that you had to stop on that Panthers team. And maybe it's because Tyler's never been that guy, but shoot, if he ends up producing at a level that's higher than DK and higher than JSN, which I think is possible because if those other 2 guys are getting a lot of attention, Tyler's going to be open all the time.
Yeah, and Tyler's tease does everything right. So he's still the deep threat. He still works the zones. He could go in and play the slot extremely well and just sit down and get the little first downs. He's the pro's pro. Now, Steve Smith, excellent receiver, like Amon St. Brown, like redux that we're seeing now. But his attitude was kind of everything. He was kind of the beast mode of the wide receivers, just attitude and just so outspoken and the dog you want on your team. So I think so much of his presence also helps the Steve Smith.
Tyler is too nice.
Tyler is soft spoken. Tyler's a realtor, right? He's
the babyface assassin.
Yeah,
he'll smile at you, and then rip your heart out on the field. That's why you gotta love Tyler.
You don't even know what would hit you, right? And you're sitting there bleeding out, and he's spiking the ball in the end zone. I forget the exact stat, but I'll say it anyway. I think it was something like in the last 6 years, he's the only player with it's something, whatever it was, like 8 touchdowns in each year, so something like that, right? And this is in a world where the Mike Evanses of the world have been racking up those kind of stats. And when you think about Mike Evans, you start to think, yeah, that dude's probably putting together at least Hall of Fame consideration type career. And so like it becomes a why not us? Why not Lockett type thing? So for that alone, and just of course him being awesome means our Seahawks are doing really well again. But if he can, Brandan, if he could just do that, let's say another year of 1,100, 1,200 yards, 10 touchdowns, being friggin' awesome. At what point do you start to be like, yeah, this dude is putting together Hall of Fame caliber numbers? So
I'm going to need to see 3 and 4 because that's what I want.
3 and 4 more years. Is that what you mean?
Right. Yeah.
I think
3 and 4. Gotcha.
I think all you really need is he needs a chip.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. Let's cut to the chase, right? So how about this? 4 more years of fantastic production, 2 Super Bowl rings, and Tyler's
1 Super Bowl MVP.
I like everything we just said. Perfect. So I will now root for the home team here as well on offense. And I'm very happy this guy's still on the board. I had a couple of offensive guys going third, a little risky, careful. But my guy, I don't know how you guys left him on the board. Your guy, Uncle Will, boys. Uncle Will becomes coming off the injury, this Pete Carroll giving medical diagnoses, which is the weirdest stuff. Oh, he's got a knee, he's got this, he's got a foot. We've never seen this before. We don't even know how to operate on this guy. Like these weird scenarios about what happened with this injury, and that he's out in OTAs looking awesome. And the piece for Uncle Will is, remember last year, a couple of things, right? First touchdown of the year, first drive of the year. Uncle Will kind of broken play. Geno escapes in the pocket, little floater, and Uncle Will's in for 6. Before the injuries beset this dude, he was a touchdown machine. He was amazing the first year. Then he got hurt, then came back. It was really good again, then got hurt. He was a touchdown like magnet. While I expect the overall volume to drop to tight ends, because we talked about that in general, like there's only so many balls that can go around, expect the volume to go down. I would not be shocked if Uncle Will can stay healthy, that he's sitting there dancing 5 or 6 times in the end zone. And that would be a really nice year. So I'm kind of rooting for that kind of a package where I like Noah Fant. It's cool, but he's the adopted guy we kind of got later anyway. But Uncle Will is our guy. And then he got Parkinson. We'll see if he can actually blossom into a legitimate tight end weapon. We saw some good things last year. Wilson won some big bucks last year on the Hail Mary week 1. And with that, if Uncle Will could just be that guy again, he's our best blocker. We want to run the ball. I want to see a lot of Uncle Will, and I want to see some Uncle Will red zone love this year. And that's the dude I'm cheering for on offense. And how do you guys not choose your Montana guy? Shame on both of you.
I mean, we each had to pick one, right? Or were we supposed to pick like 3 or 4, right?
Well, you picked first. You had it before me. He was on the board is the point, and you.
So you thought I should have taken Uncle Will over Tyler Lockett, future Super Bowl MVP and Hall of Fame candidate.
Well, now that we talked about it, yes, yes, because of the Montana roots, and also you, Adam, both you guys. Shame on you both. However, I love your pick. So.
Hey, Uncle Will, like you don't have to talk me hard into rooting hard for Uncle Will here. Like, obviously, Montana kid, coming back from yet another tough injury for a guy who kind of struggles to run fast as it is. This could be something that could be difficult for him. So I actually kind of look at his position this year as a little bit more in the mentor role as in that tight end room, as opposed to, I kind of expect big things out of Parkinson this year, just with his frame and his speed and athleticism and all that. We saw him pop a little bit last year, and we saw Noah Fant in kind of his ceiling as a player that all Broncos fans are familiar with, like pretty darn good. Yeah. But he's never going to be Tony Gonzalez or Antonio Gates or anything like that. Whereas, you talk about red zone targets, and okay, if it happens to be Uncle Will, absolutely, I'm doing cartwheels all day. If he's taking all the red zone targets and scoring a bunch of touchdowns, that's great. It just seems a little more likely to me that it's going to be Parkinson on the receiving end of some of those.
Maybe not likely, but the guy that you would be pulling for just because of the youth aspect of his game. You see him being a member of the Seahawks for a lot longer than maybe Will.
Don't you guys dare tell me who I'm pulling for. It's Uncle Will. That's the guy I'm pulling for.
Well, you were the one just saying that. How could you not pull for this guy? He's
so I gave you the reason. Yeah.
Well,
and again, this goes back to my point on Tyler. Uncle Will doesn't need me to root for him. He's awesome enough on his own. He doesn't need any help from me.
I didn't realize we're getting into who we're pulling for shaming in this episode. I thought it was just who we're pulling for.
Well, we weren't until you got it wrong, Brandon. Jesus.
Yeah, I picked the guy who was the future Super Bowl MVP. Wow, how was that even a wrong answer?
You know what you did, apparently.
Yeah. Awesome. So that's our first half there. We went offense. Are we going to serpentine this thing? Should I pick it up and go?
Yeah.
Okay. So now we're on the defensive side. So once again, I'll give the correct answer. This time I get to take it off the board. Y'all can't do anything about it. So this guy. I am extremely, I'm pulling for all of them to be good. Yes. We all know this. The reason I think this guy is so important is that if he's out there, I think it means we've got our best plethora of defensive backs possibly on the field at all times. I think Trey Brown, I'm just pulling for Trey Brown to be the dude, because when he was out there his rookie year before he got hurt, I thought he was phenomenal. I thought he was like super sticky. I like the fact that we had the DJ Reed influence, but like, okay, we don't need the 6'2" guy, the 6'1" guy. We don't need the specific wingspan. We could take the 5'9" guy. And I thought Trey Brown was a phenomenal player till he got hurt. And then last year it was weird that he couldn't get back on the field, even with Kobe Bryant as a rookie being okay. And I just think that Trey Brown could work his way back into the starting lineup this year, potentially. And if he does, I think it's a good thing for our Seahawks. Not a negative. I think he's a very, very good cover receiver. And if we want to play more man and be more aggressive, to pair that with the way Devin Witherspoon plays football, then Trey Brown's a really good complementary piece who plays better man. And I like some Trey Brown. So that is who I'm rooting for on defense.
Don't be shrugging at him like you're already about to pull shame Clinton with
that was an early shrug too. Early shrug. I said Trey. He was like,
yeah, Trey. He's doing. Your shoulders couldn't touch your ears.
It's not my fault that he chose the de-escourage of the defense. Like,
who would do that?
I mean, come on, man. Like, I just have a hard time putting too much emotional energy into Trey Brown for a couple reasons. One, like he really has had a tremendous struggle with the injuries. Like, you know, health is a part of talent, and he doesn't have it, or at least hasn't proven it to this point. But when he did play earlier on, you said he was tremendous, and it's like, well, okay,
really good.
He was fine. He was fine. He was a league average corner when he played. That was fine. I just don't think that there's much of a path for him to find playing time this year. Whether that's because I mean, let's just be real. Witherspoon is going to be starting at one of the corner positions.
Yes.
Yeah.
Tariq Woolen, if his knee comes back, which, I mean, it sounds like he's already well on his way. Mm-hmm. He's also going to be the other starter at corner.
Yep.
So now we're talking slot corner.
Yeah.
They're definitely going to give Kobe another shot to prove that he's the guy there. And let us not forget about Mike Jackson. You think he's just going to roll over and let the number 5 pick play him off the field? Like, he's going to take his opportunities where he can. And I think that could be in the slot. I think it's going to be a hard go for Trey Brown. Now, if he puts it all together and he can take his game up just another notch that you were talking about there, Clinton, and that becomes, you know, another fantastic Seattle secondary, then that would be super cool. It just feels slightly unlikely to me, but doesn't mean you can't root for it to happen. I'm hoping for it. I'm hoping for all the dudes to be awesome.
It cracks me up that all the arguments that you made against Trey Brown.
Yes, 100% true. Yep. No, you're not wrong.
The de-escourage is your guy. Okay.
Yeah. No, you're 100% true. I can't deny it. No doubt about it. I'm being a gigantic hypocrite there.
All right. Well, just as long as we're calling it out.
It's true. Yeah.
All right. The guy that I'm pulling for, and it was hard for me not to pick Bobby Wagner, just with him coming back to the Seahawks this year. But the guy that I have to really pull for is Draymond Jones up on the defensive line, because I need to see something as the guy that they paid a boatload of money to in free agency. And it's very rare that we see it work out to where you go and you get the guy on the first day of free agency, you pay a bunch of money to, and he comes in and performs at that highest level. I mean, who are the guys that we're talking about that have been those day one type guys? Because I know like Mike Bennett, Cliff Averill, yeah, they were kind of in that first, second wave area, but not the guy that they went out and attacked free agency and went out and got. Like Sidney Rice is the guy that comes to mind where, you know, they really gave the big money to, and he came in and played fine, but I don't think anybody saw him as like the number one guy coming out of free agency either. So I think with what they need on the defensive interior in terms of pass rush, whether he can provide anything in terms of the run stopping, it's because of the need of that position and the presence of a big interior guy that dominates. I want that to happen, and I want it to be Draymond Jones because of the price that they paid for him in free agency.
Oh, man. It would be incredible to see the Seahawks pull the trigger on a big spending situation here with Draymond Jones in a area of need on this team, a dire area of need, and have him come up big and be that guy in the middle that really is just a disruptive force, you know, that really bothers all the quarterbacks. I don't care who you are. I don't care if you're Mahomes, Brady. I don't care if you're, you know, the next greatest one to ever do it. You get pressure up the middle on those guys, and they all struggle. Draymond Jones could be gigantic in that way. And the way that he then kind of is a force multiplier for your edge guys. And we've talked about it a few times. Brandon, you're not wrong on this, but like Draymond Jones, rooting for him to be good. Hell yes. Let's go.
Yeah.
Because then Trey Brown can succeed and have 10 interceptions.
Yes, look at that. And then, of course, Tyler could win the MVPs we're after, and Uncle Will could score his 18th touchdown of the year. It all comes together. And Eskridge, he could stay healthy and be on the field, too.
Eskridge will make next year's list of the top 10 best number 3 receivers in the league.
Wow. Where do I sign, right? That'd be monumental.
Yeah, so there's no chance that happens.
We did the 3 keys episode not that long ago. So for folks who are like, hey, want to go, and these are not like, they're not aged out episodes. We're talking about off-season things. So go look at the fairly recent YouTube, and also in the audio stream, there's one there that was like 3 keystones, and my guy was Draymond. So I could just only head nod to this and say, yeah, there was a reason he was my keystone to the entire thing. If he pops off the way we think he does, and putting our emotional chips where you just laid him, Brandon, makes a ton of sense. If he's good, it's almost like a very simple equation. If he's what he is supposed to be, we're a good team. Like it's really, really, barring stupid injury to other, huge ass players, right, that you just can't replace. If he's who he's supposed to be, I think where you could pencil us in for 10 to 11 wins with him being who we're supposed to be. And then there's upside from there. So yeah, I'm going to be rooting extremely, like game 1 versus the Rams, right? Just think about that game 1 versus the Rams, and just that first series to see, because of course he's not going to play very much, if anything, in the preseason. Maybe a snap or 2, maybe in game 2, maybe not, hopefully not. So we're really talking about waiting until what is it this year? So like September 10 or something like that, whatever it is, and getting that first real sense of, all right, what did we get? Like, what is this guy? And the first couple of series, I think, is going to be just huge. And of all the people to watch on the screen, my eyes will be right there, right in the line, be like, okay, what's Draymond giving us on the first few snaps of the game? And so I'm emotionally with the 110%, Brandon, for sure.
Okay, well, just to put Adam on the spot a little bit, with Clinton saying that he doesn't quite know what we're going to get with Draymond Jones, is he better as a keystone or a guy that we're pulling for?
I think he's best as a keystone that you can't help to root for. Like, I mean, that's really what it is. But if I had to choose, Brandon's right. I mean, as much as I love you, Clinton, I've known him my entire life. So
okay, that's fair.
Where the loyalty
that's
lies.
just math.
Yeah,
It's
it's just bad. Yeah, can't
No worries.
help with that. Yeah,
Yeah, no worries.
Good. I just needed to hear that I was right.
Yeah.
Thank
yeah,
you.
and you're my most special Pookie. You know that now. Yeah. Yes.
All right, who you got? Are you going to go with Bobby Wagner like you did with the Keystones, or are you going off the board here?
Well, it's definitely on the board, but you guys are missing the boat here. It's got to be number 33, Jamal Adams. You got to be rooting for that dude to come through this year. I mean, poor dude, his body just betrays him at every point here in the last 2 years. And if he can be the Jamal Adams that he is and come back from this really difficult injury and be who he was, boy, what a difference that makes for this defense in them being, quote, multiple. I mean, we hear, Hurt talking about that all the time. All the different things that he brings to the table, how much he takes off of Quandre's plate, how much he can be there as that dog. You talked about that earlier, Clinton. Like, he's got the juice. He's got the dog. He is that energy spark plug, game momentum changing kind of guy. And I love the way that Jamal Adams plays. It is such a joy to watch. And to see that get plugged in with all of these upgrades on defense, and if it can be held together, whether it's bubble gum and duct tape throughout the season, I don't care. I just want to see Jamal be Jamal again, because the difference maker he can be is through the roof.
I just have to say, I have to apologize to those who are watching on YouTube and who are listening via the podcast, because I did not get the memo that it was guys who have been injured the last couple of years that we want to be healthy this year as the guys that we're pulling for in 2023. But clearly Adam and Clinton coordinated. I was left out of this, and I'm sorry.
Well, it's not our fault that you don't have any empathy for guys who are injured. Like, well, how do you throw that back on us? How dare you? How dare you?
I want to have success, and it doesn't matter if they're injured or not.
Yeah, and I just have to apologize to the folks on YouTube and the folks on the audio podcast that I didn't select one of the other two guys' keystones from a episode we just did a couple of weeks ago. I actually went to a new player and made a new argument. So so sorry that I didn't just bogart somebody else's keystone.
I'm sorry for nothing. My picks are perfect.
I do want to read a few names to you guys, right? For the Hawk Row, there's been a little bit of tension in this particular episode, maybe some good tension, right? So for a second, let's clear our hearts and our minds. I'm going to read 5 names for you. 5 names. Yes, there you go, Brandon. Thank you. 5 names for you. With Jamal potentially healthy, the DBs that are likely out there: Quandre Diggs, Jamal Adams, Julian Love, Tariq Woolen, Devin Witherspoon. Come on.
Yeah. and depth of Trey Brown, Kobe Bryant,
Derek Reed, Kobe
Mike
Bryant,
Jackson.
Mike Jackson as a
Derek Reed,
really good corner. Dudes, that's legit. That's legit.
Loaded.
Yeah.
Loaded.
So going back to my keystone and Brandon's root for guy, if he does his job with that DB room, let's go. It's gonna be awesome.
No injuries this season. I think that's my takeaway, is that the keystone to the 2023 season, to bring back something from a previous show, is 0 injuries.
Okay, so apparently we need to apologize for all the people watching on YouTube and all the listeners listening on the audio podcast, because we didn't pick the strength and conditioning coach.
Yes,
as the number one guy
we're pulling for him. We're pulling for that guy.
Yeah. That's the guy who really needs to improve, right? Is this still the same dude after all these years? Is it still him?
Hard telling, not knowing.
Yeah. Not a great track record there. So, but let's
not a terrible one. There's worse.
Yeah, I mean, he could be the dude from the 49ers
or the Ravens.
Yeah,
or the Broncos last year.
Yeah,
the Broncos last year. Oh, that was the best. That was the best thing. Oh man. Oh, by the way, I do want to say, there's lots of what if stuff out there. Like, what if Russ became an Eagle? I'm like, all right, that's fine and all. Like, I just want to give a shout out that our what if stuff is like future stuff that might actually happen. It's a lot more fun. It's a lot more
just
fun.
Go years in the past with this other stuff.
Yeah.
I will say the Russ Eagles thing is a relatively interesting topic.
I like the way the Seahawks Nest guys broke it down, because they were like, what trade is better for us? But they also put the logic in there to be like, okay, and if Russ was on the Eagles, we're not getting the 5th pick overall.
Exactly.
Probably. So they were like, trying to be like, okay, Witherspoon becomes maybe Gonzalez, and they were, flopping players around that way to try to make the logical pairings of who it could have been, which I thought was pretty.
The Let's Ride curse does not turn into the Let's Ride curse if he goes, because he doesn't have John Elway riding the what do you call the thing that he was riding, saying left.
He's riding a scooter.
Yeah,
a scooter.
That's not a scooter though. It's a
scooter. It's an electric scooter.
I want to call it a onesie, but that's not it.
Nope, that's certainly not a onesie, and it's not a flying skateboard either, Brandon.
I want to call it a onesie.
Yeah.
All right. I want to call on all of our listeners to get in the flock at getintheflock.com. If you haven't already, give us a like on YouTube, subscribe to the show. And I am going to be, Dave sent me the emojis. Bloomy sent, so when we do live shows, you'll have, if you're a member on YouTube, you'll have exclusive little chat icons that you can put in the chat. So I'm excited to get that going. That's one of my off-season projects. And, Bloomy being really the person who put it together is the guy I have to credit for it.
No, I need to ask, like, are they, I mean, we don't have to give away all the secrets.
It's the stuff from the Discord.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
There you go. Good. You gave it all away.
So yeah, you can get in the Discord. If you get in the flock.com, join at $3 a month or above, get you an invite to the Discord. Or if you've supported us in another way, just email us at gohawks@seahawkerspodcast.com. I'll give you an invite link. You can hop on into the Discord with us. And then you don't even need to wait for YouTube to have your icons that are exclusive to the Discord right now, but soon to be part of YouTube.
Nice. Love the more custom stuff that the flockers can create, and Bloomy do it. Bloomy loves that stuff, which I love that Bloomy loves that stuff, right? He's all about those little details that make things that much more fun and interesting. So big shout out to Dave. Good stuff.
And speaking of details, he nailed it. He nailed the Browns game as the game that the throwbacks are happening in.
Yeah. How did he pick, which craftery did he come up with that?
Just,
did he have logic
that would be the game that they'd throw it in there, because the Browns kind of have a throwbacky looking uniform. I think that was his logic, if I remember it right. And so it'll just look like one of those games from the early 80s and late 70s.
Yeah. And did they show, is it just I didn't even see the graphic. I heard it was the Browns, but I was out all day. Was it like, hey, did they show the visual? Is it just the royal blue and the silver helmets? Or is that not known yet?
Nope. You're still waiting.
Just an announcement. And some people who are very good at Photoshop that are giving us graphic representations of what it could look like.
All right.
I don't know. All I can say is Tyler in his presser today said that they did the photo shoot for it already, and he crushed it and thinks he should be a male model going forward. So yeah, Tyler's already ripping off a great season. Brandon, it's already working. You're already working. Yeah.
Male model, outstanding season, Super Bowl MVP. Tyler Lockett, he's going for the trifecta this year, gentlemen.
Very nice. Is this a school for ants?
I think with that,
there's only one thing left to say.
Go Hawks.
Go Hawks.
Go Hawks.